Hello there everybody, so Butter and I, and welcome back to Tokyo Babel. I forgot to close my door. There we go, I closed my door now. I'm probably going to have to edit that out. But anyway, looks like I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to assume that this might be the finale of the Sorami route, or possibly not, because one of the comments did tell me that there's actually 2 more endings. Apparently Sorami has 3 endings. Interesting. But less talky, more talky.
Adam, 君はその道を選ぶのか?
I faced Adam, stealing a glance at Eve, clinging to him from behind. Adam, in the meantime, gave me a nod with no hesitation at all. The time for words seemed to be over. A memory of that peaceful day we all spent together flashed through my mind. I exhaled the air from my lungs, dispelling all irrelevant thoughts.
Sorami, Eve, 離れていろ.
The two took some distance from us as told. I picked up the Arca Stratego sword from the ground. In the meantime, Adam picked up the Bacati sword that lay next to his feet.
始めようか. そうだな.
A sensation akin to anger intermingling with anguish and sorrow took hold of my heart for a split second. Still, I had to defeat him. I had to fight him.
奇妙なものだ.
Yep.
そうだな.
I imagined there might have been another way, but then promptly discarded the thought. There was no other way for us. At least up until now. Inevitability was the chief force at work here. Adam and I couldn't walk the same path together. It was too narrow for the both of us. Adam and I threw our weapons at each other, and catching them, we both lunged forward. Our willpowers, howls, killing intent, fighting spirit, and finally, swords crashed against each other like 2 high-speed trains. As steel kissed steel, we, instead of pushing forward, both chose to counterattack with a kick into the other's temple. Both of us stumbled, but neither of us fell. We glared at each other. We smiled. I kicked myself off the ground, leaping into the skies. Cutting through the air, easily exceeding the speed of sound, I launched a volley of strikes at him. I had no time to breathe, nor did I want to. My only joy present was landing a hit on him, my only sorrow receiving one in return. I paid no heed to the blood trickling down my skin, or my ever-growing misty surroundings. Not even my own creaking body on the verge of collapse elicited a moment's reprieve. The 7 avatars of Sind bared their fangs and jumped at Adam. An inferno of fire erupted from Michael's sword, the divine flame that purified all sins it came in contact with. The defeat of the beast was imminent. I dodged the flame by the skin of my teeth, but a part of me still seemed to have been scorched in the fiery display, as an unnerving smell of burnt flesh tickled my nostrils. I lost him. He vanished from sight. Damn it, where was he? I glanced up, my blood turning to ice, and was promptly met with another explosion of fire. A double barrel trick. God damn it! The impact was so fierce I thought my body and soul would split apart. I lost my momentum and crashed onto the ground. I could feel aqua vitae soaking my clothes. I signaled Sorami to stop with my right hand. Stay back. Don't come any closer to me now. Now was the one time I couldn't think of you. The one time in my mind could only focus on the foe before my eyes. All I could think of was the battle and ending his life. I grit my teeth so hard they nearly cracked and leapt into the air again. Although all the magic I poured into the action made the word launched far more apt to describe what I did. Adam, his face a mask of calm as always, parried my attack. Rising above him, I called for one of the beasts of the sword. A lion manifested out of thin air, and obeying my orders, propelled me. Adam protected himself from lethal damage with his sword as I slashed at him. Still, I expected that, which is precisely why my attack was, in fact, more of a bash. I accelerated further. Catching up with the falling Adam, I added a kick to my combo. He crashed into the ground at an angle, grinding his face along its surface. I appeared to have successfully damaged his shoulder. Somewhat disheartened by the fact that an attack I poured all my strength into didn't particularly achieve anything significant, still, I had no time to lament. Adam stood up. One was a sword belonging to Archangel Michael, another to Archangel Uriel. A blasphemy if I'd ever heard one. Still, they did indeed lack in sheer destructive power at present. We cast our swords aside and closed in on each other. I wondered if the tingling pain somewhere deep inside my nose came from fear or from Adam's palpable killing intent. Not like it mattered. Rather than pondering trifles, I should have thought of the most swift and convenient way to ram my fist into his face. I stopped. I should have probably come up with a strategy. Succumbing to instinct, we proceeded to hammer each other with our fists. I threw a punch and he responded with his own. Ad nauseum, our bout displayed a thorough lack of strategy or technique. Excuse me. That's a very cool looking freaking picture, just gonna throw that out there. I hit him so hard I nearly dislocated my own shoulder, yet each time my fist made impact I felt elated. And then he would hit me back. Every single time he touched me, my entire body would fire up in furious agony as if pierced by a needle. Whoa, jeez. I hit him. My aching fists were seething like they were on fire. My spinal cord felt cold as ice. My mind drowned in a maelstrom of pain and elation. I got hit. My consciousness blacked out for a few seconds. Still, my raw yet stalwart fighting spirit helped recollect myself as I grit my teeth again. Our bout no longer displayed any elements of sportsmanship. It no longer had anything to do with martial arts, fencing, or even the technique of drunkards fighting with sticks. We were hammering each other with nothing but fists, returning to the most primordial of states. Nothing commendable about it, just pure satisfaction on its basest level. I acknowledged both his strength and personality, and I believed him to have acknowledged me the same. But we could never become friends, or rather, we didn't want to. It was a notion that both of us felt inherently repulsed by. I didn't feel malice towards Oshibahagane back when I fought him. I only felt sorry for him. I only wanted to put him out of his torment. Our relationship did come close to something akin to friendship in the end, I thought. I felt nothing like that fighting Adam. Whenever I'd look at him, I'd be overtaken by an indescribable sensation, something akin to not but exactly killing intent, animosity, and an irresistible wish to fight. My heart would go awry, robbing me of the ability to calmly analyze myself and my surroundings. All I understood now was that he was trying to kill me, and that the thought made me very happy. So I didn't hold back, and went for the kill myself. My cheeks were ruined by punches, my teeth were falling apart. I took a deep breath and blew it out, hindering Adam's vision with dust. He was momentarily rendered blind. Without wasting another second, I landed a wild swing at his chin. A critical hit. My triumph didn't last long. Ooh. Adam's right fist crashed into my liver. Its destructive power reaching the measure of tons, Adam's fist broke my ribs as if they were branches of a decrepit tree. Adam fell on his knees from pain, but his eyes still burned bright with almost palpable intent to kill me, his body trembling from sheer animosity. I too was down on my knees and trembling, but this time it seemed my sheer fighting spirit, while able to cast pain and fear away, struggled to bring me back to my feet. Still, I somehow managed to stumble back up. Our positions were the same as in the start. The sole difference was that we were now battered almost to death. No one but Adam existed in my world at this point. If someone had been calling for me, their voices might as well have been in another dimension as far as I was concerned. I didn't care about the past or the future, not even the present. I only cared about one thing, and one thing only. Adam, my nemesis. The pain grew worse, my body heating up even further. It wasn't the most pleasurable of sensations, but the thought that my adversary had been suffering the same filled me with joy. I gave myself a self-deprecating smile. I was losing my mind. Fuck. Adam declared his raison d'etre to me with pride. I took a deep breath and considered his words. I wonder. I certainly did not live only for myself. I lived for someone to be able to live in peace with smiles and joy filling their waking moments. Could I single out Sorami as the sole target of my aspiration? I felt that wasn't necessarily the case. So did I live then for the world? I didn't feel that to be the case either. If I choose between Sorami and the world, I'd choose the former in a heartbeat. Still, there was something off about the idea. I didn't live for the world, I didn't live to serve it. I didn't live for Sorami, I didn't live to serve her.
世界に寄り添いたいだけだ。空人と共に歩きたかっただけだ。そのためなら理不尽を打開して世界を支配してもやる。
やはり道は違う。思いも違う。
そうだな。
We chuckled. After the short break, Adam considered me again.
もうそろそろ終わり。
ああ、何もかも。
It's only been 10 minutes. Let's finish this. The reason I was born for. The reason I was birthed into this world. It was not something that a third party could decide for me. If someone whispered that you were born for one thing or another, you could take their words into consideration, but never for an indomitable truth. Your raison d'etre was something you had to grasp and hold on to by yourself, both in dreams and reality. You had to grasp it, and clutching it tight in your embrace, proceed ever forward. Tendo Setsuna, what do you live for? Adam, what do you live for? I felt the caress of a breeze that shouldn't have been there. We left the gates of heaven open. A gust might have sneaked inside. Everything was so silent, both the world outside and the world within. I couldn't even hear my own heartbeat. I woke my nanomachines, making them shoot a blast of electricity through my veins to forcefully innervate my muscles again. I exceeded his speed by a small margin. Still, he was my duplicate. It made sense that he had the same nanomachines within him. Cutting through the air like bullets, our fists crashed into their targets with a thunderous bang. Both of our faces got hit by what might as well have been a cannonball. Equal. We were equal at everything. But from now on, we would be different. We chose different paths that opposed each other. And so the difference of our ways would provide us with a new, different method to hurt and kill each other. We made some distance between each other. We put our everything in the next clash.
僕のレゾンデートルはこれすべて世界の理不尽を打ち砕くために
Adam synchronized with the world. His reason for existence was obvious, set in stone. The question was, what kind of effect would it have on the world? Adam ripped his chest open with his own right hand. What? His hand invaded the newly opened gap in his chest as I gazed at the spectacle in bewilderment. Finally, he pulled his hand out, clutching his own ruby heart. Jeez! Even my heart wasn't that powerful. Still, didn't you know you'd die from ripping your heart out, Adam? His shining heart let out a creak. The most robust part of the dragon body obeyed Adam's will and changed its shape to resemble that of a weapon. Whoa. A crimson blade made of his heart. The ultimate weapon that only the bravest could wield, for if it shattered, it would mean the end of its master. Fuck. The world's most powerful sacred blade, the world's fastest demon sword, the world's most warped holy lance, and all the other divine relics in his arsenal. He deemed them all worthless. In the end, the one thing he put his trust in was his very own heart. A crystallized volcanic flame so potent one wouldn't hesitate for a moment before labeling it love. Erythro Cardia. Such was the weapon Adam chose.
この世はすべて機械が動かしている。
And so I made my declaration. My power was such that I could triumph over impossible odds without relying on the saving grace of the divine. I closed my eyes and considered Adam in my mind, a copy of myself that exceeded me in both in power and in heart, a man among men. And that made us despise each other. We felt repelled by, averse to, and positively loathed the very notion of being together. And the reason for that was now clear as a day. For he was myself. The paths we walked differed, and so did the principles of our creed, but I still realized that he was but another possibility of my own self. I waited for someone's orders. I craved for someone to tell me what to do. I yearned for a life I could spend without a moment of independent thought. Unfortunately, both of us were long past that stage. I toppled Metatron out of my own will, and so I killed Adam. I didn't doubt we had been of the same mind. For him, who lived for Eve alone, anyone but her had been but an obstacle. I imagined even lands and seas wouldn't escape his animosity. With her orders as they were, Adam would continue destroying all and everything in his path until his own life finally gave out. And he'd feel fulfilled, for such was her command. But I couldn't let them have their way. Maybe they were right. Maybe their melancholic wish came from the very purity of their hearts. But I still couldn't let them have their way, despite everything. The story couldn't end. The story had to continue forever. Even if I perished, it still had to go on without me. But this eternal future was now threatened. If I succumbed to Adam here, it had vanished without a trace. I couldn't help but admire the concept of the unknown. I loved, from the bottom of my heart, the idea of a future that had surprises in store. We currently dwelled in the present that rested atop the foundation of the past, and if our present built upon that foundation, it would eventually lead us to the future. We always lived only to reach what lay beyond our current moment. We fought the present to attain the future.
あらゆる理不尽を力でねじ伏せるために神を創造する神を鋳造するそれが天道刹那レゾンデートル召喚ユニバーサルマシン時の氏神
My race on Dare initiated as the kingdom of machines sprung into this world again, the innumerable Tubalcanes bustling in the heat of their forges. Who would have thought that the weapon ultimately descending into my hand would end up being... Adam gave me a confident smile. I couldn't blame him for it. The weapon I had summoned to overpower his turned out to be the exact copy of the very sword he held in his hands. Only its color was different. Azure. Safiro Kadia, my azure heart. Ah, so that was how it was. The man in front of my eyes held the strongest weapon in this world. There was no other way that could possibly overpower it. While there might have been weapons that held more raw power by themselves, as long as this sword rested in the hands of a man with the strongest heart in the world, Adam himself would be unmatched. Hence, there was but one method to prevail against him. I had to exceed him in conviction, tenacity, fighting spirit, and raw feeling. Such a simple, yet nigh impossible task. But I had no alternatives. I gently caressed her neck with my right hand, and while she was still in the midst of confusion, covered her lips with my own. Our kiss barely lasted a second, but it didn't matter. I was satisfied as long as our lips touched. I drew my head back. It seemed Sorami still needed a few seconds to comprehend what had happened. Finally, her cheeks grew the color of scarlet. I faced Adam again. Her cheeks still red, she nodded at me. I loved her with all my heart. I didn't know much about love, but I imagined this was the feeling. In any case, I readied my sword. Adam gave me a wry smile. That too wouldn't have been so bad. Eventually, we took a step towards each other, and with it, I steeled my heart. This sword required no tricks. It cut and killed. All that mattered was the will of its wielder. Darkness seeped out of my sword, light out of his. And so our hearts clashed. The world that Metatron had fashioned split in half with a deafening explosion. A ravine opened between Adam and myself. I grit my teeth. The agony of having one's heart clash with another's was far worse than I had imagined. It wasn't only physical pain. I had long transcended that concept. It was worse. As our hearts clashed, we understood each other. I could now comprehend Adam thoroughly, down to the last detail, and he could comprehend me just the same. Nonetheless, I would kill him. I'd reject my newfound feelings and make him perish. It was neither a strong conviction, nor a vague excuse like faith in God. It was all for Eve. He would destroy the entirety of the world and everything therein because Eve wished it so. I vaulted up, swinging my blade downwards. He parried, knocking my sword out of its trajectory with tremendous strength. At the same time, he spun around and swung his sword at my side. I couldn't parry it with my sword. Following a thunderous bang, the main bone of my left arm, the humerus, shattered. But I didn't give up. As I felt my arm break, Adam let his guard down. I planted a kick right in his face, and as he momentarily lost his vision, sent his own arm flying with the swing of my sword. While one of us was regenerating his broken bones, and the other his severed arm, we both thrust our swords at each other's chest. I gripped my teeth at the sensation of an alien object ravaging my chest, but I didn't die. With our hearts in our hands, maiming our torsos amounted to little more than excruciating pain. Still, at times, pain had the power to break hearts. We both seemed to share in that intention, yet neither of our hearts gave in. With both of our left arms rendered useless, we ended up using our rights. I jumped forward, launching a ferocious thrust. A chop fell on me from above, likely with the intent to stop and counter my action. I didn't care, and thrust ahead, crashing into him like a truck. Appearances no longer mattered at this point, and neither did technique or power. The sole and only way to prevail was to break your foe's heart. We tumbled down the white ground, rolling twice or thrice. He ended up atop me. Our arms regenerated almost this very same moment. His fist crashed into my face. At this point, I imagined he planned to grind it to mincemeat. Unnerved by the grotesque thought, I launched my own fist up towards the sky. His cheekbone shattered while I spit out my own teeth. And so we continued. I couldn't see a thing through the blood anymore. Only the most primitive of its sensations. Pain still reached my brain. We kept landing hit after hit on each other in a never-ending rondo of fists. After a few minutes of hacking at each other like a savage beast, we found ourselves flung some distance away, finally creating an opening between us. We stood up, assuming our combat stances. I spat a mouthful of blood onto the ground. I walked the tightrope of death, balancing myself like a fly would on a spider's web. Adam, not bothering to wipe the blood off his face, continued to glare at me. His unadulterated love was likely the strongest feeling known to this world. He probably loved Eve more than I could ever love Sormi. And so, I couldn't hope to win in terms of affection. Realizing that, I couldn't help but let out a chuckle. What a way to lose. In the end, I couldn't become a hero. Those who fought for love would always win. The myths of mankind stood testament to that. As long as the hero had someone he loved at his side, he always prevailed. And the source of all of Adam's power was without a doubt exactly that. Each time we clashed, the world around us ripped apart. It wasn't because it was poorly made. The world Metatron created had been as heaven-like as the original. The reason was simple. Not even the divine realm could withstand the destructive power of our weapons. Confusion manifested on Adam's face. Enduring the impulse to vacate my stomach and wiping the sweat out of my eyes, I smiled to myself. I knew what had perplexed him. His heart brimmed with love for Eve. That affection was what gave him his power, so potent it tore the world apart. I, on the other hand, was nothing like him. I loved Sormi. I truly did. But I also knew full well that I couldn't compare with the passion of his affection. My love wasn't pure. I didn't love Sormi herself, but rather the future that was waiting for me with her. And I didn't love Sormi alone. I loved everyone. My heart was filled with love, almost like it was running a bargain sale on affection. It wasn't that hard to overcome the fear of death. Overcoming torment, on the other hand, was no simple task. Knowing it wasn't the best of ideas, I cut most of the pain signals coming to my brain, relying only on my sense of touch. My fear waned and my fighting spirit shot up. How could I overcome the fear of death that easily? The answer was simple. I knew I wouldn't have a long life ahead of me either way.
3年過酷に働けば2年に縮まるかしら
I recalled her saying something along those lines. I wasn't designed for posterity. My vials would likely stop one day without as much as a warning. I'd be overcome with fear whenever I considered the idea. Despite the terror, though I couldn't shake off the thought, I simply couldn't stop thinking about it. At times I thought I'd make peace with my fate, and look death straight in the eye. While I'd been afraid of becoming a god as well, the fear of death overshadowed it by a large margin. A bout of death that nobody could ever hope to interfere with at this point. The sky split apart, the world shattered to pieces like glass, the remnants of the old heavens peeking out from beyond the destroyed layers. I missed my swing and was flung away by the counter that followed. My bones had cracked and hairline fractures all over at this point. My regeneration powers could no longer keep up with the damage. My heart continued to shoot blood through my veins. I had all my nanomachines concentrate solely on regeneration. Still, it wasn't enough. To tell the truth, it was a miracle in itself that my arms and legs were still attached to my body. I couldn't get up. Even though I wished to do so with all my heart, my body refused to obey my will. All I could do was wail, unable to even form words. Adam landed nearby, looking down on me with a detached expression.
これで終わりだ。
He clutched his sword with both of his shaking hands, his own heart. Irithro Kadia. Love was a powerful force. In the end, no one could best it. Nonetheless, I refused to yield. I had no idea how much of my lifespan I still had left, but even if Sorami had ordered me to destroy the world, I wouldn't have listened. This world was a far more fascinating place than I had ever imagined. It was neither a kind, nor a particularly harsh place. Despair had no control over the world, for if people tried hard enough, hope could always be discovered. I wished to preserve such a world, as a final present to her before my death. Both of our hearts were already littered with cracks. I stifled my fear, ignoring the pain. I refused to cry and give in to terror. If I yielded here, the world would surely fall, and so would Sorami, together with our future. He sent me flying with another merciless kick, shattering the last of my ribs.
世界は凍るように冷たいわね。
You got that right. She said that once, and I agreed. The world had always been cold, unforgiving, and filled with cruelty. Nonetheless, I yearned to live. I yearned to be part of this world. My only wish had been to entrust my dreams to this world, to feel its beauty. I saw a vision of a future together with Sorami. A soothing sight illuminated by the beautiful orange of a sunset. But one detail in that picture surpassed even its majestic glow. The smile on Sorami's face. Tears welled up in my eyes as blood trickled down my lips. I couldn't allow this scenery to remain a lie, an illusion. Stand, Tendao Setsuna. Stand and ready your sword one last time. Perish in a battle waged for the sake of the future. I swung my sword with a howl, still prone. Adam jumped back, evading the swing, and brandished his own sword.
まだあがくか。
まだあがくに決まってんだろうが。
I brandished my sword as well. Lights colored azure and crimson danced in unison. Space itself got torn apart, with everything around us being flung down to the nether. The rift separated us like a demarcation line. We hesitated for a second. We both understood the next attack would likely prove to be our last. I discarded all cognitive thoughts and instead left everything to the instinct of my trusty partner over the past few years, my own body. Little by little, the vacuum that had formed between us dissipated. It felt as if the whole world had been flooded with some viscous liquid. The air itself seemed dense. Somewhere in the depths of my consciousness, I realized I howled. I realized I jumped forward. Without interference from my own mind, my body moved as it saw fit while I held the sword of Safiro Kadia tight in my grip. I lifted it up to the sky and swung it downward. With my mind dormant, I took less than a second to aim. My body moved reflexively as I entered his sword's reach. I didn't care about what Adam was doing, so I wasn't particularly unsettled by the fact that our swords clashed again. There was no use lying anymore. Adam smiled to himself. Little by little, cracks started appearing on his weapon, and with it, on his own heart as well. He must have known this would happen. Destroying the world probably wasn't that hard a feat for Adam at this point, and if I lost, he would doubtless proceed with the plan and succeed in a heartbeat. But he knew that wish wasn't right. For the longest time, he managed to prevent that contradiction from surfacing. Though prioritizing Eve above all else, he locked his own emotions in the darkest depths of his heart. He only wanted peace. But in the end, he couldn't completely eradicate all of his feelings. His heart and affection had been so pure, so clear, that one could see through it and have a peek at what had been hidden underneath. He only wanted peace. But Eve didn't. She desired but one thing from Adam: destruction. And no one could condemn that solemn wish. A girl who had spent an eternity downtrodden, forsaken. There was nothing strange with Adam wanting to fulfill her wish. Still, he wasn't a machine. A wish to ravage all of creation might have been a little too much, even for his heart. He never wanted to destroy anything, but he wanted to fulfill Eve's wish. There was but one thing he could do with this contradiction: make it sink down to the depths of his heart, and fill the opened cracks with Eve's love instead, veiling the truth underneath. Gazing outside the window with book in hand while sipping the green tea she had prepared, relishing the sweet aroma of the drink, the small, simple wish that remained in Adam's heart had turned to poison that devoured him from within. The two swords crashed. The crimson sword cracked. He didn't feel surprised, nor malice towards his opponent. He merely...
Adam.
wanted to see her smile one more time. The sword that shattered ended up being the crimson one. The huge contradiction in Adam's heart was the cause of his own defeat. He didn't fall behind in magic, nor technique, or even the strength of his sword. The finishing blow was delivered by the very fact that Adam himself had prematurely acknowledged his own defeat. Absent-mindedly gazing at the crimson fragments of his sword, Adam smiled to himself.
ここまでか。最初の一歩でつまずいて、良かったのか悪かったのか。
いいだろうさ。何事も中途半端は良くない。
I feel like my heart's being broken right now. Once you had decided on doing something, there were only two ways to escape regrets. Either dropping the venture before starting anything, or seeing it through to the very end.
アダム。
すまん。どうやら嘘をついてしまったようだ。
いいえ、私はとても。
You still made me very happy.
目がかすむ。近くにいてくれ。
はい。
Eve embraced Adam with one hand, and grasped the hilt of his sword with the other.
アダム。
Eve tried to tell him something, but Adam shook his head. He gave her a gentle smile instead.
謝らなくていい。俺が望み、俺がやったことだ。俺は何も後悔してはいない。
Falling silent, Eve thrust the sword through her own chest. Gulping down the blood that bubbled up in her throat, she continued to smile, to mask the pain from her love.
ただ、一人になるのが少し怖い。俺の魂は自意識を保てないほどに飛散して消えてしまう。それが嫌だ。
大丈夫です。
そうか。
私とあなたは夫婦ですもの。病める時も健やかなる時も共に。
死が二人を。
死ですら二人を分かつことはできません。
Adam gave her a little nod with a satisfied smile. Showing no hint of malice or interest towards me, his killer, Adam closed his eyes forever. Realizing that his soul had already vacated his body, Eve glanced at us and made a smile. The blood that she could no longer contain escaped her lips and trickled down her chin and chest, making for one mystifyingly dazzling sight. Black and white, mingling with vivid crimson, the color of Adam's sword.
アダムは私と一緒。指先から武器から命の一滴たりともすべて誰にも渡さない。これで私たちの物語はすべておしまい。でもあなたはどうですか、天道刹那。
わからないが、それでも君が望む通りにはなるだろうね。
Eve let out a small snicker.
そう、天道刹那。あなたもアダムと同じ。未練を抱いて、後悔を抱いて、死にたくないと願った。それでも死ぬのね。
いい君だと。
あなたはアダムが憎んだ最初で最後の人間。彼が関心を抱いたもう一人の人間。それがひどく妬ましい。
彼が愛していたのは君一人だけだろ。
私は彼のすべてが欲しかった。憎悪も例外ではなくて。
A warped, or perhaps endlessly pure mindset. In the very end, the young woman who craved all ended up savoring the bitter taste of regret.
でも愛してくれた。私に愛を注いでくれた。生まれて初めて大切な誰かを愛せた。それで我慢します。
行くのか。
ええ、彼と共に。幸せです。
Eve left this world with a smile as radiant as the sun itself. The wind swept through the white land as their bodies promptly turned to dust. Their souls dispersed into nothingness, leaving no trace of their being. The only thing that hinted at their existence were the wounds carved upon my body. I prevailed, though the true victor might have been Eve in the end. Her wish may have gone unfulfilled, but she left this world with a satisfied smile on her face. Maybe she truly never wished to destroy anything. She was but a tragic woman who spent an eternity crying in the corner of the world without anyone taking notice. I couldn't even begin to imagine the loneliness she must have felt, condemned to eternal solitude. But in the end, Adam wiped her tears away. This entire story revolved around their reunion. The sword vanished from my right hand, and as I turned back, I was met with the sight of Sorami smiling through her tears. Relief in my safety and the welling of emotions at the sight of the two primordial lovers gave her ample reason to cry. She was a curious girl. Although it hadn't even been a month since our first meeting, the anxiety gnawing at my heart from her absence had become unbearable. I decided to spend the remainder of my life with her.
刹那。
Sorami pressed her head against my chest.
二人とも死んだの？
ああ、
仕方ないことだったの？
I was about to confirm it, but hesitated. The two wished to destroy the world, and however ill-chosen that wish of theirs was, it had been justified and true to their hearts. So there was nothing we could have done about it.
いや、仕方なかったわけじゃない。ただ、僕は生きていたかった。君を死なせたくなかった。
Makes me wonder how much the Lilith route is gonna go. Whoops. Sorry. Then again, I had to do both this route and Raziel's route to even unlock it, so... It was not like there was no other way. We could have ran. With Sorami at my side, I could have ran through the worlds, leaving the job of stopping Adam and Eve to someone else. But I didn't choose to do that. To the very last iota of my will, I thought of nothing else but stopping him, and ended up slaying him in the fight. Sorami, saying nothing else, pressed her head against my chest for a second time, rubbing against it like a cat.
これからどうすればいいのかな。
さてね。
刹那、嬉しそうだね。
Indeed, I couldn't quite mask the happiness that overcame me as I heard her previous words. It was the first time in my entire life that I truly felt free.
空見は何がしたい？
She cocked her head and disappeared in thought. After a couple of seconds, she suddenly clapped her hands, an exclamation seemingly having come upon an idea.
学校に行きたい。結局言ってなかったことが明らかになったしね。
そりゃいい。僕もそうしたいと思っていたんだ。
She said she was looking forward to it with a smile.
そう。それがあなたたちの願いね。
Messenger? Or... No, it was Lilith, fuck. I confused their fucking voices, what's wrong with me? We turned around only to have our jaws hit the floor.
リリス!
She was alive! Or perhaps she died and resurrected again? Or was she neither alive or was she never alive to begin with?
リリス! よかった。生きてたんだ。まあ、面倒いのでそういうことにしときましょうか。
We don't know where your real body is, so... Apparently a bit embarrassed, Lilith ruffled her hair. Turns out all of her memories returned with the death of Metatron.
でさ、リリス。これから私たちってどうすればいいのかな。そうね。それは自分で決めるしかないわね。
Lilith's lips curled up into a mischievous grin. I had a bad feeling about this.
一つだけ確実なことは、これで空見とはお別れってこと。
Ah, here it is.
だってそうでしょ。あなたは本来未来の人間。神とメタトロンが死に絶えた今、世界は元に戻ろうとするわ。となると、もともと未来から引っ張り出されたあなたは
未来に。
そういうこと。ちょっと待って。それじゃあ。
Lilith dropped her eyebrows, her tone turning somewhat forlorn.
世界は正しい方向に戻る。過去と現実は未来へと地続きになってあるべき状況になる。
I feel like we've already gone through this, but I'm just gonna keep going. I'm not gonna skip because I might miss something important again.
じゃ
Sormi hesitated with her question for a few moments.
これでみんなとはお別れなの？そうね。お別れよ。
Sormi gulped and stole a glance at me.
そうね。お別れした方がいいかもね。
Lilith glanced at me, her lips once again curling into a
い
grin.
や、僕は。
Lilith sealed my mouth with the tip of her finger.
二つ。あなたにとって強烈なデメリットがあるわ。ちょっと来なさい。
Lilith signaled me to come closer. A little puzzled, I slowly leaned towards her and prepared to listen closely. And so she proceeded to whisper the following in my ear.
一つは刹那も知っての通りね。で、もう一つは。
What? I considered Lilith's face for a few moments. Her smile seemed to lack its usual boldness. This time she was serious. She looked straight at me, demanding a choice.
どうする？彼女は強制的に未来に送還されるけど、あなたはついていくかどうかを選べるわ。あなたが決めなさい。
Oh my god! Really? Fucking really? That's right. That's right. It was said that there's actually freaking 3 of these. Fuck. I have a feeling I already know what's gonna happen if I go to the future anyway. Fuck. Okay, let's think about this one logically. I go to the future right now. I'm gonna die, but whatever the heck Lilith is trying to go about, like, if I make myself part of the future, then I'm part of them that are gonna exist in the past, right? So then none of this shit would have actually happened, right? But if I don't go to the future and Sorami does, doesn't that technically mean she could recreate Tendao Setsuna? I think. Depending on the length of... I'm going to go with the go to the future one because I need to know. What was there to hesitate about? Had I not decided long ago that I'd be here by her side?
行くよ。
そう。
She placed her palm on my cheek, a somewhat lonely expression on her face.
つまんなくなるわね。東京バベルも。
あとはリリスたちに任せるさ。
めんどくさいめんどくさい。さっさと行っちまいなさい。
ああ、リリス。
Bewilderment overtook Lilith's features for a split second, but as the moment passed, she was back to normal again, as if nothing had happened. She flashed her usual wicked grin.
何気にしないでいいの。じゃあ、行ってらっしゃい。風邪ひかないようにね。
I feel like the... God.
ありがとう。
いいえ、礼を言うのは私たちの方なのよ。あなたは誰も救わないという選択をすることもできた。何もかも放り捨てて逃げてしまったって誰も責めなかった。でもあなたは立って戦った。神に抗い、大天使にすら抗った。それはとても立派なこと。英雄にしか成し得ないこと。だから最後まで諦めることなく戦いなさい。
戦う？
最後の最後に残っている戦いが一つあるのよ。あなたにはね。
Lilith waved at her, staring at us from behind my back. Raziel, Belial, oh, so he survived. Camiel and Messenger, restrained by Camiel, came over to my side.
ソラミ、短い間だったけど楽しかった。ジョーさんの世話はこちらでやっておく。大丈夫。肉にはしない。
I certainly hope you don't eat Asti.
それだけはやめてね。寂しくなるね。ソラミも寂しい？当たり前だよ。友達だもん。
Raziel embraced Sorami.
いってらっしゃい。
It seemed she tried to resist the urge at first, but now her eyes were full of tears again. I imagined Raziel, whose face I couldn't glimpse from behind, shed one or two herself. After a short while, Raziel let Sorami go and faced me instead.
セツナも行くんだね。
Yeah. Even I could read the sadness in Raziel's eyes. Apparently she wasn't too keen on parting ways with me. Yeah, considering how much I really frickin' liked you and your route, yeah. After all, we would never meet again. The thought just occurred to me.
もうやるべきことが残ってないから。僕は
I would follow Sorami to her world. I would spend my final days in peace.
そう。残念。すごく残念。
ラジエル。
She wrapped her arms around my neck and squeezed me tight like she did with Sorami.
ラジエル。
Eh!
まあまあ。
With a huge grin on her face, Lilith caught Sorami by the arm and held her down.
行くな。と言っても行くよね。きっと。
Stop it!
行く。
寂しくなるのに。
ごめん。
こんな気持ち初めてなのに。
Freaking stop it! Her barely audible whispers at the tip of my ear were like soap bubbles, fragile and ephemeral. Unable to find the words to soothe her, I gently stroked her hair instead. Eventually, she slowly let my body go and took a step
お
back.
元気で幸運を。
ありがとう。
The moment Raziel took her leave, I felt a sharp pain in my elbow. I turned back to see Sormi glaring at me with suspicious eyes.
何も言うない。
分かった。
I didn't quite understand what upset her, but it didn't seem like she was in the mood to explain.
え、何お前、もう尻に敷かれてるのか。
To be honest, I still prefer Raziel.
敷かれたつもりはないが。
Yeah, right. Bellio let out a hearty laugh.
とにもかくにもやっちまったもんは仕方ねえやな。元打天使の俺からすりゃよくやったってなもんだ。
It wasn't me he should have been thanking for slaying God. It was Metatron who took it out in the end?
で、お前未来に行くのか。
まあ、
なんだもったいない。お前なら魔王でも大天使でも適当に申請すりゃ一発で認可されるだろうよ。今人材不足だし。
I doubt I'd live long enough. I didn't know that was possible. Who should one apply to with these things?
魔王なら俺、天使ならこいつ。
He pointed at Camiel, who came over to us with a stern expression on his face.
ああ、俺がお前に言うことは何一つとしてないぞ。いや、やはり父を殺されてのこのこやってくるというのはあまりに体裁が。
Wait a minute. If I became a demon or an angel, would I technically be able to, live longer?
いいじゃねえの。新しい世界には多少の犠牲も必要ですよ。
ともかく、こたびの一件、解決してくれたことには礼を言う。言うから、さっさと立ち去るがいい。本音を言うと、お前を殺せばいいのか、感謝すればいいのかすらわからんのだ。
Which, now that I think about it, technically, if I've got an eternity as a demon or an angel, I would be able to live long enough to meet Sormi again in the future. So,
物騒なやつやな。
ラジエルとレミエルを除いた他の天使だって似たようなものだ。あまりに多くの出来事が起きすぎて混乱している。これから俺たちは何を信じていけばいいんだ。
believe in yourself.
僕が言うのもなんだが、ひとまず自分を信じてみるしかないだろうさ。
Thank you! Camiel let out a muffled grumble. I thought I chose a very neutral answer, but it seemed like it hit him like a nail.
そうするか。
Camiel let out a sigh.
この結末は予想外でした。
Messenger, looking as aloof as ever, had both of her hands bound by steel
ど
shackles.
こら辺から？
あなたはメタトロンに打ち果たされ、アダムは記憶を取り上げられて未来世界に送り込まれるものかと。
Indeed, things ended up going quite differently compared to her expectations. Still, I had one question I'd ask her no matter what.
メッセンジャー、君は？
皆まで言わずとも構いません。どうして私がメタトロンからイブ、ソラミを強奪したのかですね。
Yeah, to the very end, her allegiances remained a mystery to me. Was she our foe or an ally?
私にも私なりの考えがあった。それだけですよ。
Messenger gave me a faint smile. In any case, her sin was great. She most definitely betrayed and schemed against her own angel kin.
でもコーラスはもう聞こえない。
After uttering those final words to me, she left alongside Camiel.
それじゃあそろそろお別れね。もたもたしていると空見が真っ二つになるわ。
Why would you say that?
真っ二つ？この世界と未来世界に引き裂かれる感じでこうズバッと。
Lilith!
早く行こう、刹那。
Sormi tugged on my sleeve, unable to resist her newfound fervor. I followed her towards the gate. I glanced back at my old comrades one last time.
わかった。それじゃあ、みんな。
I hesitated. I didn't know if I should share the words that came to my mind. Since they were a blasphemy, a palpable sin. Still, I didn't want to leave the world without sharing my true feelings for once. Whatever, out with it already.
楽しかったよ。僕はこの東京バベルの日々が本当に楽しかった。
Men died, angels fell, and demons perished. Some I killed myself. Still, nonetheless, I couldn't help but enjoy this adventure from the bottom of my heart. You could say I loved it. Sormi cried out after me.
私も楽しかった。いろいろあったけど、悲しいこともいっぱいあったけど、でも楽しかったから。そう。よかった。
Lilith saw us off with a smile. We finally reached the gate and pushed it open with no hesitation. And in that moment, the past, the present, and the future finally connected back into a single line. See, now that's what I'm thinking. If I legitimately, I doubt it would actually happen, but if I legitimately took that offer to become an angel or a demon, wouldn't I technically live long enough to actually meet Sormi in the future? Or if Sormi actually went to the future by herself, she would be there seeing Setsuna, complete, like either a full angel or a full demon, just waiting for her there.
それじゃあ、せつな。会うべき日になったら、また会いましょう。
With one final mysterious remark on her lips, Lilith closed the gates behind us. Suddenly, I was overcome with pain. Not the physical kind, but rather the pain of isolation, the mental terror of being cut off from the world. Everything around me ended up swallowed by darkness and became vague. I couldn't even tell which direction I was supposed to go in.
こっちだよ、こっち。
A whisper. I turned around as I felt Sormi clutch my hand. She pointed straight ahead. I saw a light. Sormi eagerly pulled me towards it. Somewhat forlorn by the notion of leaving my old world, I followed her in silence. Behind me lay the past where we left all of our sweat, blood, and tears behind. That was probably exactly what Metatron hated. He didn't want humans to shed anything, even sweat. He wanted his children to live in peace, free of hardship. However, I could now declare with confidence that he was wrong. Blood, sweat, tears, and even despair, all were vital to the human experience. I think, therefore I am. That was the only proof for one's idle existence. Thoughts were never enough for us. We couldn't help trying to move our legs as well, always struggling to push forward. I continued onwards. I embraced my past self, my dreams and despair, everything. Surrounded by the golden light, I felt at peace, almost like a baby in a womb. Still, I refused to let go of my past. I squeezed the proof of what I had been tight in my chest. Both the fact that men made me, and that they tried to turn me into a god. I embraced it all.
ねえ、せつな。未来ってどんな世界なのかな。いい世界？悪い世界？
さてね。どちらなのかは神も知らないだろうさ。
そっか。
でも一つだけ確実なことがある。
I didn't know if we could. We might end up continents apart. But at least my current feelings were no lie. I wished from the bottom of my heart to spend my life with Sormi.
まあ、私もずっと一緒にいたい。というか、なんかもう大好きだ。
She let out a bashful laugh. I swore that my affection towards her was the last thing I'd ever let go. And so, in the new world with my past held tight in my hands, I was born. What the? Other than a small variation with the seasons, the scenery outside the window of the hospital room never changed. I felt like an inmate at a prison. Had they at least allowed me to change rooms from time to time, I could have maybe seen some variation in the outside scenery. But the nurse refused my pleas without a moment's consideration. It was so boring here, tedium with no end. But at the same time, the place was incredibly comfortable and relaxing. Tendao Setsuna lost all of his powers as he reached the future, including the power of a god and everything else he acquired during his journey. I was never a man that should have been in this world, and so I had to pay an adequate price for entering into it, which turned out to be my powers, as well as my health. I felt sick. At times, merely lying on the bed felt like a struggle. I reconsidered both of my lives while lying in bed, one in Tokyo Babel, another in this world where I found myself confined to a bed shortly after birth. When I considered the former, it seemed like I had opened my eyes in this bed one night. When I considered the latter, I remembered 17 years of fighting and illness. I was born frail and made frequent visits to the hospital since I was very young. Or rather, I guess it was my home that I kept visiting, considering I practically lived at the hospital. I could count on two hands the number of times I actually went to school. The same routine repeated over and over again. I felt like some character from a fantasy movie stuck in a never-ending loop. Well, my body seemed to have grown up to resemble that of my Tokyo Babel self, but the endurance I was left with felt pathetic, to say the least. Even basic functions like standing and walking required a Herculean effort. I'd run out of breath walking through the hospital corridors. Heck, I could barely reach the door of my room since last year. Life itself was hardship incarnate, but I couldn't leave this world without trying to achieve nothing. Or anything, sorry. However, I knew I didn't have long left. My body somehow tricked itself into growing up, but that was about it. Built on the shaky foundation, it would soon fall apart. I could feel death drawing closer. I could feel it rubbing my neck and slowly squeezing it with its bony fingers harder and harder by the day. I spent the first few years in fear. After that, I focused on making peace with my fate. And now I spend my days absent-mindedly thinking about nothing in particular. At this point, I wondered if the days I supposedly spent in Tokyo Babel weren't merely some sort of illusion or a daydream. Just a wishful delusion of a sickly boy confined to his bed. I wondered about Sorami. I never met her in this world. Well, if she was here, she was probably enjoying her new life. At least, I hoped she was. I had trouble breathing. Apparently my good-for-nothing body was now failing at the most basic of survival functions. Even my mind had little will to fight death at this point. The pain. If I knew it would be this bad, I might have remained in Tokyo Babel. Maybe it was a mistake to follow Sorami through that gate after all. But what if I had remained? I guess I would have escaped this pain at least. Bad thoughts seemed to have invaded my mind again. I felt as if I had been demoted from the protagonist to the supporting cast, or even a throwaway villain. I wished for release. I wished to be liberated from this constant pain, but I had no means to escape other than death. And to choose one's own end was something that required a bit of courage. I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to die. I wanted a release from this pain. I wanted my misery to end. I closed my eyes. Rejecting reality, I found solace in my dreams. These days I had always been sleepy as a side effect of my medicine. I opened my eyes. Slightly surprised that I could remain conscious inside a dream. Likely the result of playing around with this stuff for so long, I peered ahead of me. The dream today seemed somewhat different from the usual sanctuary of my fantasy landscape. Someone had their hands locked around my neck in the darkness, and had been slowly choking me. I tried to pry their fingers off, but to no avail. I lacked the strength. Terrified by the situation, I continued to struggle, trying to force myself awake in the real world. Still, I couldn't seem to wake up. The black silhouette added more strength to its grip. I couldn't believe it hurt this much inside a dream. I couldn't breathe. It hurt. I felt sick. The story of my life indeed. You'd think they'd have let me have some peace in my dreams at least. The black silhouette addressed me in a cold tone. I didn't know why, but a nostalgic feeling of anger lit up inside my chest. Adam. The shadow's face suddenly grew clear. I felt animosity toward it pretty much out of reflex. Forgetting the state of my body, I swung a fist at him. My fist hurt, but the humiliation of having been strangled by him was much worse. Remembering rage for the first time in years, I kept punching his face from below, scratched at his arms, and struggled with all my might. But Adam's stony countenance showed no hint of change. I understood that much. That was why I never attempted suicide. I'd never even considered it an option to begin with. You have a problem with it? My whole life was hell. I spent all my days in pain, as if oxygen itself had been poisoned to me. I met face to face with death in Tokyo Babel countless times, but I never imagined that having a body that didn't function properly could be so tormenting.
ただお前がそれに立ち向かおうともしないことだけは知っている。
何？
Ignoring my anger, Adam continued in an indifferent tone.
お前はただ無気力にやり過ごそうとしている。未来の世界へ向かったのは自分の意志にもかかわらず、それを誰かのせいにしようとしている。恨もうとしている。そんなみっともない真似を我が殺人者たるお前にはしてほしくないね。貴様のような愚者に殺されたとあっては、世界最初の人間としての名折れだ。
Ah, his words rang true. I was about to do something thoroughly unbecoming of myself. I spent the past few days thinking about the reason that made me travel to the future. Ignoring the fact that it was my own wish, I tried to find a scapegoat to blame. Sorami. I was about to start to resent her for my fate.
どうだ？お、
I sighed. It had been a while since I felt like punching myself this much.
僕は彼女を恨み始めていたのか。
いかにもその通り。だから俺が来てやった。感謝しろ、ろくでなしめ。
Thanks.
俺が来なければ今頃お前は人間のクズになっていたぞ。
It was wrong of me to feel thankful to the bastard even for a second.
黙れ。模造品のくせに。
模造品はお互い様だ。
劣化使用人類。
プロジェクト失敗の副産物。
I smiled. He smiled. We punched each other. I finally woke up, both literally and figuratively. I sat in bed, pain assaulting every pore of my body, but I gritted my teeth and endured. I gave my cheeks a couple of slaps. I might have woken up, but the pain never left me. My agony was here to stay. The only thing that had changed was my heart. I would no longer wait in acceptance, idleness for death to take me. No matter how much it hurt, I'd spend the remainder of my life in a way that I could be proud of. I'd struggle. I'd struggle to the very end. Finishing my disgusting hospital meal, I ignored the pain and sluggishness off my body and proceeded to walk around the hospital. Whispering to myself to man up, I went up and down the stairs, leaning on the rails with most of my weight. If I'd vomit, I'd eat more. I no longer minded the taste. I ate for nutrition alone. I didn't want to die in a hospital bed, nor did I want my life to end at school or at home. My goal was but one, to find Sorami. She had to be somewhere in this world. I wouldn't die till then. I refused to. I've already been closely acquainted with the Grim Reaper on countless occasions. I'd kick his ass back to hell if he ever came after me again. And so, after a full year of struggles, I was momentarily taken back by the doctor's words. I asked him if a surgery could make me better.
ただし、何回にもわたる手術の上に相当なリハビリが必要です。その覚悟があるのならば。
I wasn't scared of rehabilitation at this point, and my parents welcomed my decision with open arms. When I finally succumbed to the anesthesia, I had another dream.
ああ、もう私の忠告を聞いていなかったの？
Lilith was quite evidently exasperated.
忠告？何かあったっけ？
Lilith gave my head a few light knocks in a display of irritation.
最後まで諦めることなく戦いなさい。
I remembered. Now I finally understood what she had meant.
つまるところ、あなたの人生の物語におけるラスボスは
他ならぬ自分自身だったということか。
そういうこと。まあ死んでもいいけどね。
Well, screw you.
なぜ？
地獄に落として楽しむからに決まってるじゃない。
She wasn't serious. Or, so I hoped.
生きてみるよ。
Letting out a small snicker, she patted me on the shoulder.
最後まで戦い抜きなさい。大丈夫。あなたはどんな敵でも諦めなかった。それはあなたに力があったからじゃない。あなたの意志があったからよ。
でも僕は。
そりゃ孤独だったんだもの。気弱にもなるわよ。 あなたは今まで誰かのために生きてきた。だから、その誰かがいないと、どうしても弱くなってしまったのよ。
I can just imagine you guys constantly visiting him in his dreams just to fuck with him. Indeed, I myself was certainly my worst enemy. I had to protect myself, not others. I had always looked down on myself. I respected the lives of others, but never thought much of myself. But I could never have prevailed that way. During my last battle, I didn't fight solely for others. I fought for myself as well. I fought to meet her, to embrace her once again. And so I finally found it in myself the wish to prevail, no matter the cost.
あなたを待っている女の子がいる。生まれついて目が見えない女の子が。孤独に震えて、毎日毎日泣かない日はないっていう、かわいそうな子がいるの。
She was born blind? Wow, that's, oh god, that's sad and ironic. Sorami having eyes that allowed her to see everything, and born in this world, she's blind. That is, ugh. So that was the reason why she never came looking for me. Her eyes were indeed of a unique kind back in Tokyo Babel. It made sense for her to be robbed of them here.
もう、なすべきことは分かったわね。
ああ。僕のために生きてみる。僕は空見に会いたい。彼女とまた話したい。これは他人のためじゃなく、僕が生きるための理由だ。
よーし。なら、行ってこい行ってこい。お土産持たせちゃる。
Oh? A present? But before I could ask her for details, a violent kick crashed into my stomach and flung me away.
これがスパルタだなんてな。じゃ、あばよ。
Really? Thank you. Seriously? That was the last word I uttered to that incarnate of freedom before the black bottomless hole swallowed me. I woke up. I almost got blinded by the beaming grin of a nurse that congratulated me on the recovery. I went through countless operations. It felt more like they were replacing entire parts of my body rather than merely tinkering with it. And I certainly didn't expect rehabilitation to be that bad. At times I couldn't help but wonder if people could die from muscle pain. Gritting my teeth, dragging my barely functional legs, I pushed onwards. I refused to fall. I could not afford to yield. Even when my family begged for me to stop, I pushed myself ever onward. If I was the same person as before, I would have likely given up already. But now I had the will to fight. I realized I had been clutching a piece of paper after waking up from the surgery, and reading it infused me with newfound vigor. After spending a great while coughing blood and rehabilitation every day, I finally reached the point where I could be discharged. I might return to the hospital one day, but hopefully never long enough to make me call my home again. At least, I hoped I could associate the words return home with something other than the smell of anesthetic. Anyway, I was finally out. I could finally take the first step towards my goal. From now on, I would live for myself. I'm guessing on that paper is... I glanced at the piece of paper in my right hand. It had a line of small letters and numbers inscribed on it, spelling out an address. Yes, I had a feeling that was going to be it. Thanks, Lilith. I had to pay the toll for my exorbitant powers as I was reborn in this new world. I was born blind. Oh, holy shit! It didn't take me long to make peace with the fact. I realized that Gethel's eyes most certainly weren't something that had any place in this world. In the very end, they ultimately betrayed me. Still, I couldn't bring myself to resent her. A lot of happy things happened as well. For starters, I had parents in this world, as well as a little sister. They all adored me. I had an honest-to-goodness family. And my name didn't change. I was still Kogutsu-Sorami, and even my little sis name turned out to be Shina, too. It was the future I had hoped for, and I was very thankful for it. Still, I soon realized I had been in one big predicament. Tendao Setsuna. He wasn't here. None of my family heard of the name, and dismissed him as another daydream of a teenage girl. At times I find myself would start to question his existence. Could it be that the days I spent in Tokyo Babel were but a long dream I had one night? That the world I left behind was but a delusion, and this one was not the future but simple reality? And so I spent my days in gloom. I would have remained that way forever, had it not been for that little thing that proved for it all to be true. My little sis found it.
お姉ちゃん、これなんだかわかる？
She handed me something round.
何何か黒い塊、石ころだと思うんだけど、捨てちゃっていいものかな？
Oh, I know what it is. A rock? A black rock? Huh? Wait a second. Could it be? No, but maybe. Maybe, just maybe. I tried recalling the keyword. It wasn't in English, I think. Some other language that a lot of people used in the past.
メアリヒト。
A small light suddenly appeared in the middle of my dark world. Even blind, I could feel its beautiful radiant light.
光ってる。カノープスっていうの。
Right. I remembered giving it to Setsuna, and then finding it in my hands again later. Oh, thank God. It wasn't all a dream. Everything that happened in Tokyo Babel was
カ
real.
ノープス？ってお姉ちゃん。え？何？
Sheena continued in a panicky voice.
泣いてる泣いてる。え？あ、泣いてる。そっか。私泣いてる。
I started to bawl my eyes out, much like when I was born, or probably with even more intensity. Alarmed, Sheena soon brought Mom and Dad to my room, who in turn panicked themselves and were about to call the doctors before I stopped them. Well, that story aside, I probably never would have believed that Tokyo Babel was real without this rock. But I was alright now. I believed it all, no matter how strange it seemed. That was how I found hope. Tendao Setsuna must have been alive somewhere in this world, looking at the same sky. And once I turned the age I had been in Tokyo Babel, I was told that thanks to the recent advancements in medicine, I might regain my sight through a surgery. They left the choice with me. That was a silly question, though. I had always yearned to see the world. I yearned to see the future that Tendao Setsuna had risked his life to make possible. The surgery went without complications. I felt oddly jovial about my slightly throbbing eyes and the bandage covering them. I couldn't wait for the day I could finally take it off and see the world. For now, though, I continued to ponder in darkness. What kind of future did Setsuna win for us? Or was he, anyway? I spent most of my time thinking about Tendao Setsuna, a man whose existence I wasn't even sure of. People could laugh at me for being delusional all he wanted. My imaginary lover saved me. He gave me the courage to face the world.
それでは包帯をほどきますよ。
The day had finally come. I could hear all three members of my family take a joint gulp as they watched the nurse uncoil the bandage from my head.
目は閉じていてくださいね。包帯が外れてからゆっくりと開いて。
I could see faint light through my eyelids already. Once my bandage was off, I opened my eyes slowly, exactly like the nurse told me. I could see the world with my own eyes. Everything was still blurry, but I could make out people's faces to an extent.
お姉ちゃん、私たちが見える？
I gave Sheena a nod. It seemed the trio of my family couldn't take the sight, and began sniffling in unison. Mom, Dad, and Sis. The woman in white was probably the nurse. Was anyone else there?
いるわけないか。
I let out a sigh, and thought it might have been about time to graduate from delusions of imaginary lovers. Still, I couldn't help but...
梅津空美さんの病室はこちらでよろしかったですか？
My heart throbbed so hard I thought it might fly out of my mouth.
はい、どうぞ、どうぞ、どうぞ、どうぞ。
I reacted ahead of my parents. They gave me a puzzled look, but I had no time to worry about them. The door flung open, and a boy whose face I knew so well entered the room. I saw him. I could see him. He stood right in front of me, his overlong black bangs covering one of his eyes. He looked just the way I'd last seen him, 17 years ago. I loved him so much. The 17-year wait felt so long and nearly drove me insane.
遅刻してすまない。
He made an embarrassed smile, but I didn't care about all the years that had passed. Now all I cared about was...
切な、切な。
Ah! I jumped out of bed straight into his arms. My parents let out a cry of surprise. My sister chuckled, impressed. I'm sorry, but I've got no time to explain this to you guys now. I had my hands full trying to confirm if this warmth I felt was truly real.
空見17年ぶり
I could no longer contain my tears.
会いたかった。ずっと会いたかったよ。
僕もだ君にずっと会いたかった
Freaking Sheena in the background there. The place was probably not the best for lines like these, though. I opened my eyes to see Dad giving us an angry look, now fully away from the initial surprise. I could see his love for me in those eyes. Mom, meanwhile, seemed to be enjoying the situation with a mischievous smile. Not that I expected a different reaction, but I wish she'd go ahead and calm Dad down already. My sister seemed to have been transformed into an avatar of curiosity. Well, who could blame her? Her sister's boyfriend appeared in front of her pretty much out of nowhere. I hesitated for a moment, but decided to say the words I probably should have known better than to blurt out here, of all places. Whatever. After us, the delusion, all that jazz.
大好き。
ありがとう僕も君が好きだ
He answered my teary voice with soothing calmness. I closed my eyes, plunging back into the world of darkness, but it no longer held anything to be afraid of. Even if I couldn't see the future and didn't know the past, Tendao Setsuna was right here in front of me in the present. The man I loved, I could reach out and touch him. Even if the future was vague and filled with uncertainty, as long as I was with him, as long as I lived together with him, I knew my life would be full of fun, and that I would never regret anything. That was the one thing I felt certain of. We would walk this path straight ahead, into the uncertain future, not because somebody made us, but because we wished to do so ourselves. Nothing was defined in this world. It was constantly full of beauty and possibilities. And trending that uncertain path of probability, we'd press ever onwards. Such was mankind's raison d'être. Ah! Let us go now, Setsuna. In sickness and in health, let us walk together forever. Oh my god! Ugh! That was the happiest fucking ending I think I've experienced in this. Ugh! Damn it. Sorry, Raziel, I really freaking loved you, but oh my god, this was the happiest possible ending I think I've experienced. God! Oh, that was so good. Oh, that was so good. Oh my god, I should probably skip this because I don't want to be copyrighted. Ah! No! I can't skip it! God, that ending was so freaking sweet, I think it gave me diabetes. Oh my god, that was just so beautifully sweet. I don't even want to know what the other option was just because of how happy that was. Oh god. Oh fuck me, we've only got one route left, so let's see what we got here. I'm not going for a completionist run. Sorami true end. As two normal people. That is possibly one of the happiest freaking endings I think I've seen. Oh my god, why does Raziel have the saddest endings? That is so unfair. Oh god. Raziel is such a good character though. Why is her ending so sad? And then Sorami's, oh my god, that was so beautifully happy. Ah! Well, just a double check here. Huh? What? Why is that not unlocked? Oh, screw that. Do I really have to go through the other ending to unlock it? Do I really have to experience all the endings to... that frickin' sucks. Unfortunately, I don't have time to do that, but that is just... Ugh. Oh my god, I went a lot longer than I intended for this. But anyway, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to be able to get into Lilith's route. I'm pretty sure you'll tell me how to do it, but... I hope it's not what I think it is, where I actually have to go through the other ending, but... Anyway, I don't really have time to do that, so if you like this, be sure to let me know. That was the sweetest freaking ending I think I've experienced. Go to the graphics. Oh my god, there's a lot of graphics here. My god. Holy shit, there is a freaking lot here. My goodness. Yeah, that was not happy at all. That was just freaking sugary sweet. My god. Anyway. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Ugh.